Hello and welcome to Just Films and That. We're going to discuss a film that we think is underrated, underappreciated, or we just want to talk about it. I'm Josh Hallam and I'm joined by Alice Oliver. Alice, how are you?
Brilliant as always, Josh. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited because today we are joined by another brilliant guest. He's a writer, he's a comedian, he's an all-round legend. Nathan Caton, how are you?
How's it going, man? I've never been described as a legend before, though.
Well,
right? It's like, so is it me or someone else?
Anyone?
Yes, and introducing.
Rich D. Hunter. No,
Well, anyone who's willing to give it the time to come on this is a legend in my eyes. How are you, Nathan? You okay?
Yeah, man, I'm cool. Chilling, it is what it is.
So we start with a random question, as we do every week. Alice, I'll come to you first. Beach or pool? Summer's coming up. By the beach or by the pool?
So, obviously, I love the sea because it's impressive and gorgeous. And I don't mind the sand and stuff. And I've always got my factor 50 on, so I haven't got to worry too much about the sun. But I think I've mentioned this to you before, Josh. I've got an irrational fear of something grabbing me while I'm in the water, like a shark or an unidentified sea monster. I never used to have this fear. When I was a kid, I used to swim in the sea for hours and hours and hours, and it was never an issue. And then as I got older, for some reason, it became a really bad thing. And so now I can go maybe 3 feet deep, maybe 4 feet deep, and I just get terrified. And I'll see a shadow in the water and I'm like, oh, that's it. The great white is coming to kill me. Even if I'm off the coast of North Wales or something, I'm just like, nah. So it would be a pool, unfortunately, for that reason, for safety reasons. What about you, Josh?
Did you ever have the irrational fear when you were a kid doing swimming lessons that there was going to be a shark in the swimming pool? Or is that just me?
I had that.
Yeah, I remember thinking, yeah, that's what sheltered life I lived. That I thought some sort of great white would get into the village swimming pool. So I'd probably say pool. I don't mind the beach. I just prefer. I don't like sand. I'm like Anakin Skywalker.
Gets everywhere.
I'd say pool. What about you, Nathan?
Well, first of all, mate, what leisure centre are you going to that could potentially have a shark in the pool, mate?
A rough one. It's rough. They got to get security. They got to get security in.
If there's a shark in the pool, who's on reception? Fucking hell.
What wristbands the shark got on? What time does it have to get out? There's all sorts of admin questions there, isn't there?
Has it had swimming trunks or not? Okay. Can I ask a question in order to answer my question?
Go ahead.
Am I swimming or just chilling?
Chilling. Holiday chilling.
Shit, that's hard. I'm gonna say no, pool. I'll stick with pool. I was gonna say beach because then that means I'm like somewhere like in the Caribbean or something like that.
That's
where
true. That is true.
On the beach with a rum punch. That's the life. But I like swimming. Like I'm a proper fish. You know what I mean? Like as you said, you got to feel something grabbing you. I'm the kind of person who likes to go swim down to the bottom, swim behind people and grab them and watch them scream and panic. That's me.
You're the guy like in Jaws with the fin on his back, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the wind-up merchant in the water.
Oh no, I couldn't cope with that. That would drive me absolutely mad.
Is Nathan what you're actually scared of, Alice? So we'll come on to talking about this week's film, which is Above the Rim from 1994, which Nathan has picked. So spoiler warning if you've not seen that. To give you a little bit of background on the film, a little bit of a synopsis, it's basically about a young basketball prodigy called Kyle, played by Dwayne Martin. He sort of explores his ambitions to be a basketball star, along with his relationships with the people around him, his community, whilst his prospects are kind of balanced on a knife edge between becoming this massively successful basketball star or, well, not, or all to do with sort of possibly him going the other way and having this sort of miserable life of crime, if you like. So, Nathan, I'm interested to know why did you pick this one? Apart from the fact that we asked you to come on and pick a film, is it underrated? Is it underseen? Did you just want to talk about it?
I feel like Above the Rim, it's underrated and underseen. In terms of basketball movies, I'm a big sports fan. Basketball is one of my favorite sports. Big up the Toronto Raptors. I'm a big basketball buff, but whenever you talk about basketball movies, or whenever I talk about basketball movies to people, the same movies come up. Space Jam, Coach Carter, White Men Can't Jump, those kind of movies. I'm like, what about Above the Rim? Like, I haven't seen that. It's like Above the Rim was like one of the original basketball movies for like my generation. I just feel like it hasn't been seen enough by people, especially basketball fans that might not have seen it. And it's a great film. I remember watching it, I don't know, when I was maybe 10, when I should have been watching it with my mum, of all people. I don't know why she was letting me watch that, but she did. And just explores, like what so many young people go through, in terms of they've got their dream, whether it be basketball or something else, but then it could always go the other way, as it could have done in Above the Rim with Carl. He could have been gone to college, play ball on a full scholarship, but you could end up in a life of crime, in gangs and doing all sorts. So I feel like it's relatable to people, and it's just a great movie, and also the character of Leon, Freddie Shepherd. I like his character as well. How he's the guy who he's kind of like he's lived through what Carl lived through now, and he's trying to like, no, don't make the same mistakes. You got a talent, go down this path, kind of thing. So yeah, I don't. It's just a movie that caught me when I was young, and it's just stuck with me.
Okay, Alice, I'm interested to know, had you seen this one before?
I hadn't seen it, no, and I hadn't heard of it, and I wasn't 100% sure what it was going to be about. So I'm not really familiar with basketball at all. So wasn't sure. When I heard Above the Rim, my brain immediately went to like Pacific Rim, and I was like, oh, is this like a spiritual successor of Pacific Rim? Is this what we're going to see? But no, all about basketball. But I really enjoyed it. And just going off what Nathan said then, Shep was actually my favourite character. I thought he had a lot of really great layers to him, and what I really liked about him was how all the other characters responded to him. So with Kyle and with Tupac's character Birdie, they would like make fun of him a lot, or like sort of talk down to him in a way, but then you could tell like by their body language and by what they were doing that they were desperate for his respect as well. So it was kind of like, it just really sort of pegged him as like the kind of mature, almost fatherly figure sort of to the rest of the characters. And then all the ladies loved him as well. So you got Kyle's mum, who was obviously really keen, and that lady in the diner as well, who was like, oh, I think you need a home cooked meal instead of coming here all the time. I was like, oh, the ladies love Shep. But no, yeah, he was a real highlight for me. Josh, had you seen this one before?
No, I hadn't seen it before. I think I got that it was about basketball from the title, but my partner who I watched it with also said the exact same thing about as you. So she said, "Oh, is it like an action fantasy like Pacific Rim?" I was like, "Not unless it's the like two things like robots playing basketball, a bit like that Hugh Jackman one where it's robots doing boxing." But no. So I hadn't seen it, but I sort of guessed what it was about. But no, I really enjoyed it. I think there's a few things I really enjoyed about it. The sort of three main ones were the performances, the script, and I really loved the way they shot basketball. So I'm not a massive basketball fan, but I know for a fact that pretty much all sport is really hard to film in sense of making it for a film, for a narrative film. If you look at that's why there's so many sort of really bad football films where it's quite clear that none of the actors know how to play football and things like that. And especially a sport like basketball, which is so end to end, it's so quick and so kinetic. It must be an absolute nightmare to film. But I thought this got it down to a T really well. But to come back to what you were saying, Al, about Shep, he was also one of my favorite characters. But I really liked the difference between Shep and Kyle. So you've got Dwayne Martin who plays Kyle, and he's just really angry and really passionate, very high energy, quite sort of authentic. And then you've got Shep, who is this really sort of cool, very level-headed, softly spoken guy. And that dynamic, I think, really drives the film forward, really makes it work very well. And then you've got loads of other good performances as well. Marlon Wayans, I thought, was I mean, obviously Marlon Wayans has gone on to, of all the people in this, with the exception of course the late Tupac, he's gone on to be this massive star, and he brings a really good sort of comedic turn, a bit of levity to the film, and despite the fact that his character actually, when you think about it, is probably quite tragic, considering what happens to
without spoiling it.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed Marlon Wayans' performance. He's very young in this. It made me think I really wish I'd seen his Robin, because he was cast as Robin and never played him for Tim Burton.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so apparently there exists somewhere some script pages of the 1989 Batman with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, where Robin would come into it and it would be played by Marlon Wayans. Obviously, it never got made, but I would have been interested, especially seeing this, because it's, you know, not that long after 1989, 5 years or so. So I thought he was really good. I thought the Tonya Pinkins, who played the mum, was incredible, despite the fact that she's only like 3 years older than the guy who plays her son. But like, she is so like, you just absolutely would not fuck with her in this film. She's you know, she's intimidating.
that bit where she slaps him, it makes you go, oh yeah. Even I felt that pain. She's definitely an authoritative figure in that film.
And then of course Tupac's in it, who I've never seen him act before. I know he's done a couple of films, but I thought he was really good in it. So
Tupac can act, man. I've seen a few of his films, and like, people forget that because he's known for his rapping. He's such a great rapper. People forget that he can act as well. He's done movies, and he's pretty convincing as the villain of the film.
It really, it kind of really got me as well that obviously he got shot at the end, given kind of what happened to him. That just kind of felt some sort of like really weird premonition or something. I know, obviously, it wasn't. This was a bit of time before, but it just kind of it made it more impactful. I think, kind of then reflecting on sort of everything that had happened for sure. Going back to Kyle's mum, like you said, I was a bit unsure at first if she was his mum or if they were together, because he comes down the stairs when they're at home and he sort of kisses her on the cheek and she's like, oh, are you just going to kiss me like that? And I was like, oh, are these two? I was like, oh, no, it's his mum. But there was a great, like a really great dynamic shift between them sort of about halfway, 3/4 of the way through the film, where obviously she starts dating Shep and he's like, why were you late home last night? You're out gallivanting with this guy and all this. And she's like, how are you to talk to me? Like all the nights you stay out and all this. And they've just got like this great little partnership. It feels like it's just been the two of them for so long. And obviously they seem to like really trust each other and to like have each other's backs and stuff. But no, I really loved those two together. It was really cheesy, wasn't it? I think at times, the film, but it was just brilliant. The cheesiest moment for me, and one of the moments that I just loved, was at the very end, where obviously they're playing and they need one more player because one of the guys goes down, and Shep just turns up and he's like, "Put me in, coach." Yeah. I was like, "That's just brilliant," because I thought in my head, and I think he is, but Shep is quite a bit older than the other guys, right? Who are playing. Yeah. I just thought that was so funny, but really brilliantly cheesy. I thought
I liked that though. Like that bit, it is cheesy because that's the sort of thing that when a film is parodying a film like this, "Put me in, coach," that is exactly the line sort of thing that they use. Like, but I still it didn't take anything away from it for me. I still enjoyed it.
It is very convenient though how he just happened to be there at that moment when they needed one extra player. So, oh yeah, of course you were there, Chef. But it still makes the movie. You know what I mean? That moment where, and when he turns up and Birdie's like, you can see the fear. It's like, oh shit, he knows what's coming, and it's just
Well, their relationship I really enjoy. So the Birdie and Shep. So one of the things I really enjoyed about the film was that the script sort of drip feeds you information. So you come into this world where this community exists and there's the school and there's gangs and there's the main characters and all that sort of stuff. And it goes along and it's not till about halfway through, maybe slightly before that you even know that Birdie and Shep are brothers. But I like that. I like that there's that slow reveal. I quite like the way it draws you in, and then their relationship is about, the fact that they've drifted apart and one of them's gone one way and one of them's gone the other way. And it's almost like it gets to the point where he essentially isn't bothered if his brother dies or not. But I quite enjoyed the way the script dealt with their relationship, and I enjoyed the sort of exploration between like this, like I said earlier, the knife edge of you could go one way, you could be this big basketball star, you could have a life of crime. It's quite interesting how balanced that is and how close knit almost this community is, because it seems to take place on a sort of one block, and everyone seems to know everyone. They all know the homeless guy. They all know him because they've all essentially been to this one school. And I thought that sort of idea of this community gave the film a strength, a relatability, as I suppose, in terms of the message.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, you get that homely community feel where, so everyone would have known who Shep was when he came back. Everyone takes the piss out of Flip. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that, you know, Tupac, Birdie's doing his shady shit. Everyone kind of gets that. You get that feel of, like, you know, everyone knows each other's business. But then I guess that kind of like makes it even more, because when Birdie does come back, not Birdie, but if Shepherd does come back, like, at the end when he says put me in, that I think it's when he comes back. One of the commentators of the basketball games, that's Tommy Shepherd. It's like seeing a ghost. It's like everyone knows, oh shit, that's Shep. So that whole community feel, I totally get what you mean by that, bro.
One of my favourite moments was just going off what you said about Birdie and Shep's relationship. So they're in the cemetery, aren't they? And Shep's gone to, because the whole reason that he's back in town is to bury his mum. You sort of get that when he's talking to the other coach, who's like, so this other coach is like desperate for him to come and coach with him. And he's like, I've come here to bury my mum. I've not come here for basketball. So he goes to the cemetery and he's kneeling by the gravestone. And keep going to call him Tupac, Birdie comes in and he stood up next to him and he starts like absolutely screaming at him and really laying into him, and he sort of goes a bit manic with it, and Shep is just kneeling on the floor and just taking it. And it's so interesting to sort of see this kind of power kind of dynamic between them, because Shep's on the floor, so he's physically smaller than him, and Birdie's above him, and he's like doing all these big gestures and being so loud and aggressive. But Shep has the power, like you can tell that, and there's just like this desperation within Birdie, like I guess for his brother to like love him and for his brother to like see him and recognize him. But I feel like Shep just feels like he feels detached from him now, doesn't he? Because he's gone down the route that he's gone down.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not something that he wants anything to do with. And it's just great to see that kind of turmoil between two brothers.
Yeah. And then you get it again, like, I think later on when they're on the basketball court and Birdie turns up, and then they look over and there's like another pair of brothers, the older brother and younger brother, who are playing basketball together. And you see kind of like, they're both looking and thinking, what could have been, kind of thing. How, you know, those two brothers are so close, and yet here we are.
I love that bit.
So yeah. But I love that bit personally, because that kind of reminds me of me and my brother, because we're like 11 years apart, and we've grown up quite close to each other. So that kind of that message of like brotherly bonding kind of struck a chord with me. And so yeah, that scene, I'm like, that reminds me of me and my brother straight away.
Yeah, I'm not too dissimilar to yourself with my brother. I'm 9 years older than my brother. But what I loved about that scene is I wasn't sure if actually it was happening or they were almost both looking into the past. It sort of didn't explain. It didn't say, you know, they're actually just watching the two brothers who are playing, or if they were both. Because doesn't he say something like, "I never did learn how to do that," or "I never did learn how to," something to do with spreading his fingers on the ball, something like that. And it's as if they're looking into their own past, and I really enjoyed that. But no, that was another device I really enjoyed about the script, I suppose. What did you think? What in terms of basketball then? How good is this film? Like, is it because I've never really watched much basketball. I've seen the odd thing on TV and stuff, but how authentic is it?
It's good enough. I mean, compared to some like other basketball films that you may see, or like all sports films that you see in general, where you can tell it's just so choreographed, it's awful. You know, like Goal, the football film.
Yeah.
Which is it's like, guys, come on, just don't do it. I'd rather you just didn't do it. Just tell me what the score was rather than trying to show me. But yeah, they even get like the names of the football teams are like, I'm gonna score for Fulham, Fulham, mate, Fulham. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, for the basketball, for above the rim, it's believable. You know what I mean? It's you watch the action, and even though you know it's choreographed and stuff, because they got I can't remember which basketball player it was. They got someone to come in and choreograph it to make it look authentic, and it works.
Yeah, it does. And something I like about it is that obviously I don't. Do you like basketball, Alice? I know you like some sports. Do you like basketball?
I don't think I've ever seen a match. No, can't say that.
No, so neither of us really follow any basketball, but it's not important to the film.
No.
So it's like you're not going, this is just too hard to follow this game where you put the ball in the basket. That's just taking me out of the world of the film. You know, like what all good sports films do is they take the sport and they use it as a framing device, but you don't have to. Like one of the films we've covered on this podcast before is Warrior, and I have no interest in UFC, MMA, that sort of thing, but I like that film. Or if you look at other films, like you say, bad sport in a sport film, it sticks out like a sore thumb. But if you look at this, or like I said, Warrior, or some boxing films, or something like, I don't know, Field of Dreams, or something like that, it's not important. What's important is this is the function by which I can become successful.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's what I really like about it.
Because it doesn't matter if you could take out the basketball and put it and replace it with something else. It's the same framework. You've got one path that you can go down, which is success, and then you've got the other path which will lead you down a tricky road. And that's basically what it is. Basketball is just a thing that Carl happens to be good at.
Absolutely.
I love the basketball court as a location as well, and as kind of like a setting, because you're so close to one another, because it's so small, isn't it? It's not like being in a football stadium where you feel like you're just miles and miles away from the action. You can barely see the players half the time. But with basketball, it seems like the players are there and the crowd is literally like a few inches away. Like you could, feel the sweat pouring off of them. And there was such a great atmosphere in there. I thought the cheerleaders were fantastic, because I think a lot of the opening scene is just basketball being played, and you'd get just some great noises, everyone's shouting, the cheerleaders going crazy, big loud music. So I love that. And then you would get like these brilliant sort of juxtaposing shots of the empty court, where it would just be Kyle there just with a ball, and you hear the echo and it just feels so empty. But yeah, I love that as a location. I just kind of loved the way it looked in general. I loved all the outfits. It was just so brilliantly 90s.
Yeah, no.
I loved all the clothes they were wearing, just some great outfits. And is it Boogaloo?
Oh yeah,
Marlon
Wayans.
Yeah.
His outfits were just brilliant. I think there was one time where he was wearing these like crazy pair of green trousers, and he had one leg sort of rolled up to his knee and the other one down. And I was like, what a statement. But he was really funny. He had one line, and I wrote it down because it did make me laugh, where he said, "No disrespect, man, but your mum's got a fat ass." It's like, no disrespect. Disrespect very much taken.
Yeah. Some offence taken
like
to that, actually.
No offence, but call me stepdad from now on, please.
But you are right. So there's some great, massive 90s blazers in there.
Yeah.
Like blazers that 4 people could wear. Great.
Yeah, and just bright colours, there's one point where Boogaloo's wearing I think it's on the day of the big tournament, he turns up in a massive bright gold tracksuit, sunglasses, bandana. And it's like, that's so 90s. Like, imagine someone wearing that today, you'd be like, what the fuck? Have you not got mirrors in your house? But in the 90s, it works.
Yeah, along with like some great slow jams in the background, some great 90s R&B in there as well.
Oh, the soundtrack was brilliant. Literally every song, I was just dancing on the sofa. I was like, this is brilliant. I love a good soundtrack. It can really make or break
sports
a film.
Films have good soundtracks, don't they? Even crap sports films have good soundtracks. It's one of those things where it's almost like there's never not a song playing.
Yeah.
Like whether that be a 90s R&B or whether it just be the score in general, but you don't notice it in the sense that you can really notice when music is poorly used. But in this, it just suits the whole feel of the film for me.
It's funny that they used a lot of Tupac songs as well.
Yeah,
isn't the opening song with the breathing Tupac? Yeah,
exactly. That's what I remember from the film. Like that's the first song that I remember from the film. So it's I can feel your pain. Share it with me. Boom, doom, 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 doom. Man. Yeah, the soundtrack's wicked.
But that suits the film so well, because it just like the film starts and it's just like bam, started. No context. They're just playing basketball, and that's how you know what has happened to Shep. But I love that, and like you say, it goes with the song so well, and it's so the film's really tight as well. It's sort of like 95 minutes, something like that, and no minute I wasn't bored at any point. Didn't really feel like it lost any momentum. It's just like a great hour and a half entertainment. Not like if this was made now, I don't know. I've made this complaint before, like I'm sounding really old, but this would probably be like 2.5 hours or split into 2 films or.
Yeah, movies nowadays, it's like, I know, it's like, guys, you could have just done this in a much quicker time. You told me things that I don't need to know. Just get to the point.
I could read The Hobbit instead of watching the 3 Hobbit films. One thing I thought was interesting as well, the guy who wrote this and I think directed it is the guy who then beforehand had created Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, Quincy. Is it Quincy Jones?
Well, he's part of it, but I think Jeff, I can't remember his surname, the director had something to do with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I can't remember his surname. I think he was the producer or creator of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But then I thought, he must have gone on to do it. And I had no idea the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air started in 1990. I thought it was like mid-90s.
Nah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realise it was that early either.
Yeah, because I think it would have been in 94, 95 when Will Smith did Independence Day and he had finished Fresh Prince before then. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, I guess because we did, I suppose maybe because it was American, we didn't get it over. I remember watching it on BBC Two in probably 1998 or something. We probably get it a bit later. Oh, yeah. I mean, now the outfits make even more sense.
Yeah, you want to talk about 90s outfits? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is the absolute pinnacle of 90s outfits. Yeah, he was the co-creator, writer, and producer of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Jeff Pollock.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yes. I know that name.
We'll move on to things that we perhaps didn't like or we might change about the film. Is there anything for you, Alice, at all?
The only thing that I would maybe say that I didn't like was there was a few moments where you did just get like an information dump, where it was just kind of like, this is who I am, this is why I'm here, and this is what I'm doing. It happened a couple of times. The first time I think was with Kyle and his mum, that time where he comes downstairs and they're in the kitchen and he just gives you all the information you need about the college he's applying to, why he wants to go there, what will happen if he doesn't go there, what his mum thinks of him going there, how he's been getting on at school. Like, it's just like, here's all the info you need. Same with Shep, and he's just like the moment I said before where he's just like, I'm in town to bury my mum, not play basketball. And it's like, there was a few moments like that. And it happened a lot with Shep, I think because most of the time he was quite stoic and sort of quite mysterious. So then you'd get these moments where he was just like, no, here's exactly how I'm feeling, here's exactly what I'm doing, here's exactly what I'm thinking, sort of thing. So there's a few moments like that. But I mean, apart from that, no, not really. I thought the script was tight. I thought, Josh, like you said, the performances were there. I didn't think it was really lacking in any way. And I didn't feel not entertained at any point either.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Nathan? I'm interested to see. Is there anything you ever think about, you change about it, or that you don't like, or are you just like, no, this is solid gold?
Oh, that's a good question. What don't I like about Above the Rim?
The only thing that popped into my head when I was watching it is spoiler for this bit, but when Boogaloo shoots Birdie, I thought they filmed it in that sort of way that was very of the time, where they do the slow motion. And that, for me, whether it's because it's aged poorly, because of, the fact of the matter is this is quite clearly a film that's made with not loads and loads of money. It was a little underwhelming, but I can't tell if that's just the type of filmmaking at the time, or because there was a lot of films around that time that did the slow motion. If you think of Thelma and Louise and stuff, that just ends with a big slow motion sort of thing. It reminded me a bit of a music video, but it didn't ruin anything for me. I always try and find a balanced argument, but I didn't. That was the only thing I could think of, really. Similar to you, Alice, with the script, but it didn't take anything away from it for me.
I don't know what I don't like about Above the Rim, because I've never had to think about it. I've always been able to just sit there and enjoy it. I've never had to critique it. Now you say that holding the information load, I get it, but I don't mind it because I like the movie enough so much.
One of the questions I always go to ask the guest, and I've never been able to ask it yet, is what would you do with the sequel to it, like Above the Rim 2?
Oh no!
Maybe just have him being a professional basketball player or something, right?
No, I don't know. See, because I like Above the Rim, I'll be so scared about messing up the legacy of Above the Rim. Yeah. Maybe it's Kyle is Shep, and there's a new Kyle, there's a new younger person, and now Kyle has to mentor that kid. But is that just like a boring cycle? Yeah,
but that's sometimes what they are, isn't it, I guess? Or you could have it, if he becomes this absolute massive superstar, maybe you could do a Fall from Grace type story where he's coming to the end of his career. Something like that.
That would, yeah. See, you should be a mate. You should be a filmmaker, mate. That works.
I want to know more about Flip's story. I want to see Flip's childhood. I want to see kind of how he got to the position he's got to. Because I thought that was a bit of a dark turn, wasn't it, in the film when Birdie kills him? Like, and it felt so cowardly because he's homeless, first of all, so he's incredibly vulnerable, and he was asleep. He was asleep in his cardboard box on the street, and Birdie just goes up to him, wakes him up, and then I guess beats him to death. But then I think, is it Shep who says later that he cuts him, or
Yeah,
like
he's
slit
got
his
a blade.
throat or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, because does he put a blade in his mouth at one point, Birdie?
Yeah.
Oh.
He like chews razor blades.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh dear. Ouch.
Yeah. Hard man, isn't it? Hard. But yeah, Flip's story, that would be good because I mean we get the gist of the information that Flip, Shep, they all played on the basketball team when they were Kyle's age. So it'd be good to see, I don't know, could you do it like a sequel, prequel kind of thing? Where
flash forward, flash back.
The prequel,
we see that great team and what happened to them.
Maybe Flip's got a kid and Kyle's retired and he's teaching Flip's kid or something like that. I don't know.
So many.
But yeah, it's nice to see. That was a very young Bernie Mac.
Yeah. But again, Bernie Mac is in the film as well. Yeah,
it's so young as well.
Marlon Wayans, Bernie Mac, Tupac. It's now that you say the names out loud, that's a decent cast.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So has Tupac been in a few other films?
Yeah, Tupac's been in Poetic Justice and Juice. I could have picked Juice actually. That's a good movie as well. It's similar kind of thing about kids who kind of go along the wrong path and kind of choose which way they're going to go in.
See, that's interesting. I didn't realize that he was an actor as well.
Tupac. Yeah, Tupac can act, man.
Was he an actor first?
I think he maybe started rapping just before, but he went to a school of art, so he's always been. He's always had levels and dimensions to him, other than just music.
I think I read somewhere when I was reading about the film that some of the end scene in the back with the basketball tournament, he's not actually in. It's a body double because he was either on tour or he was doing something else. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of shots of the back of his head, and it's just another guy
walking away.
So we'll move on to talking about the critical reception of the film, and then we'll try and sort of conclude and see where we're at. So, have either of you managed to look at the critical reception, or?
No, I've avoided it, Josh. Waiting for you to surprise me with it.
Nathan?
No, I'm scared now.
So, Alice, how do you think it did with the critics?
With the critics? The critics are tricky little bastards, aren't they? They sometimes surprise you. So if I was going to score it, based on, I think, how much I enjoyed it and if I would recommend it to someone, I'd probably give it like a low 7. So maybe like a 7.2, 7.3. Like it didn't sort of blow me away, but there was so much about it that I did enjoy. So I reckon low 7s. The critics, I don't know. I feel like they've either gone one way or the other. I feel like they've either gone really high or like disgracefully low. Nathan, what are you thinking? What would you give it? Would this be like a 10 for you?
Not 10, but 8, 9. But you have to, I'm biased because I naturally gravitate towards sports without realizing. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Like, so, like if I say 9, like a lot of that is sports points.
Sports tax, extra tax.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not too far off. So right. On IMDb at time of recording, it gets 6.7. On Rotten Tomatoes, however, the critics give it 53%, but the audience give it 83%.
Oh. So
I think that kind of tells you everything. A, what we've already been saying, and B, what you need to know, which is, I don't know, like some critics can be cold on certain types of films. This might be one of them. I'm not too sure, but I think it's closer towards the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, the 83%, than the others. I'd probably go slightly higher than Alice. I'd probably say about 8 for me, because I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to people.
Do you know what the critics said? Do you know
No,
what the problems were?
I didn't really. There wasn't many reviews. It was quite a hard film to find, actually. In terms of it wasn't on any streamers. So it's actually, buy it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Who does that nowadays?
Yeah.
Nathan, how do you feel about that 53%? Because the critics, when we did Natural Born Killers, the critics gave that a really low score, and I was fuming.
I mean, as a comedian who's done many Edinburghs and looked at many, reviews from the experts, I don't give a shit if they give it a low score. If the audience are giving it 82%, the people have spoken, as far as I'm concerned.
I think you're right. I think we can call this one underrated and underseen. What do you reckon, Alice?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say underseen. And like you say, I mean, I hadn't seen it, but also it was difficult to find. So I imagine that there's a lot of people who aren't seeing it who would probably really like it as well.
If you like sports, then if you like basketball, definitely, mate.
Nathan, thanks very much for coming on. Is there anything we need to look out for?
Yeah, I'm always up to bits and pieces, always producing content. You follow me on social media. Instagram is Nathan.Caton, Twitter, Nathan Caton, Facebook, Nathan Caton, TikTok, for some reason, even though I'm too old for that shit. Nathan Caton comedian. Yeah, and I'll put updates and stuff for my work on my social media. So follow me on social media and you'll find out about me.
Have you found that you've been able to do anything during lockdown, like stand-up wise, sort of with the comedy? Have you been writing? Have you been doing like online stuff?
Yeah, I'm keeping busy. I mean, I'm doing online gigs via Zoom, which is different, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it and adapting. It's like a different skill set to live comedy, but it's cool. Producing like this online stuff on my social media and on YouTube as well. youtube.com/Caton N. And then podcasts. I do a podcast called Give Me Some Good News, which is just I focus on good stuff in the world as opposed to the doom and gloom. A podcast called An Englishman, an Irishman, and a Scot, where 3 guys get together and we just shoot the breeze and talk. And then I've got a basketball podcast that's coming out soon with NBA fans UK. NBA UK fans. So yeah, check that out as well.
Exciting. You're busy, eh? Can I just ask, so when you're doing a Zoom stand-up gig, do you get everyone is everyone on mute, or do you get them to unmute themselves so they can laugh and you can hear them laughing?
Well, the comedy club or the promoter, they'll get like a front row who are the people who have their mics turned off so you can hear them laughing.
Okay. I was going to say, that must be weird if they were being silent and you're like, do the punchline and it just...
Yeah, well, the first few Zoom gigs, I don't think that people hadn't worked out how to work all that stuff right. So the first few gigs I'd done on Zoom, it was just talking to silence. You could, people didn't have their cameras on, they had the mics off, you just perform into like a black hole to avoid. And it's a very fine line between a gig and just a personal meltdown. Because you're talking to silence, not knowing if you're funny or not, and it just felt like this is so soul destroying.
I did stand up for a bit, and a lot of my real gigs were like that,
staring into the void.
So there we go, another one for the underrated pile, Above the Rim. Do check it out, and massive thanks to Nathan for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure to have him on, and we will make sure that when this goes out, we point in the direction of all of his content, and hopefully in the coming months, the world will start to get back to normal, and Nathan can go back to doing his job.
Yes, stand up in front of a live audience.
If you want to get in touch with us, if you've got a film you want us to do, then please do give us an email. It's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter @filmsandthat, and Facebook and Instagram @filmsandthatpod. Please do get in touch and let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about, if you've got any random questions for the beginning, if you've got a film that you want us to do, all that stuff. Alice Oliver, thank you very much for joining me as ever.
Thank you very much, Josh. Pleasure as always.
It's goodbye from me. Cheerio.
Bye.